in the world. So it's going to be great to have this live broadcast. So as you're joining in with me, in the comments section, tell us what school you're from, where you're located. We'd love to just see who's in the audience today. And we're going to give you that opportunity to be able to join in. As you know from reading my blog post and seeing my posts on Facebook, I'm going to be doing this live broadcast 2 times a week, at least for the next month. And so on Mondays at 12 noon Eastern time and on Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. And so look forward to as many of you being able to join in with us along the way and be able to connect into some of the conversations that I will have with school leaders across the country and around the world. So Vanessa's joining us. Great to have you, Vanessa, from Ocala, Florida. And I'm from St. Petersburg, Florida. So great to have a fellow Floridian who's with me. And Vanessa and I had an opportunity to work together when I worked with their school. Kelly's joining us from Ben Lippen in Colombia. So great to have you, Kelly. And Kelly is also one that I had partnered with along the way. Marianne's joining us from German International School in Boston. So I hope you guys are thawing out from the winter and maybe warming up some. And Francie's joining us from St. Thomas Academy in Minnesota. Great to have you, Francie. It's good to see familiar names on this broadcast. And Sue from Holy Cross Lutheran. And Sue also from actually saying hello, Vanessa. So she's saying hello to someone else on the broadcast. And Becky's joining in for Valley Christian in Auburn, Washington. And Mary Ellen from Valley Friends School in Pennsylvania. Hi, Mary. And Amy from Marianne. Oh, actually, she doesn't say the name of her school. And Becca from Sheboygan Christian in Wisconsin. And Julie from Lakeland Christian. Great to have you. Look forward to the conversation. Of course, my mom and dad are joining in. So hi, Mom and Dad. They're always faithful followers of what I do online. Karen from Lakeway Christian Schools in the Tri-Cities in Tennessee. And great to have her a part. Glenna from Hill Country Christian in Austin, Texas. Actually, another school that I worked with in the past. And Teresa from Providence Academy in Rogers, a school that I was just at last month. It was my last traveling site visit before all this broke out in our world. And Sandy from Florence Christian and Tara. Wow, there's a lot of people joining in from the Diocese of Charlotte. Great to have you, Tanya from Calvin Christian in Chicago. Amy from High Point Baptist in Pennsylvania. Ashley from Oklahoma Christian. Kristen from Grand Haven Christian. I love Grand Haven, by the way. Originally from Michigan. And I love going over to the Lakeshore in Michigan. Catherine from Green Hedges School in Vienna. Lisa from Exceed Preparatory. Great to have you, Lisa, down in Miami. Jenna from Peachtree Academy. And man, the list just keeps going on and on. Scott and Kim from Toledo Christian. Leanne. Hey, Leanne. It's great to see you on here. Actually, I'm not seeing you. You're seeing me. From Plymouth Christian in Canton, Michigan. Zamy from Lonham Christian School in Maryland. Apologize if I mispronounced your name. Tim from Woodland Presbyterian, Memphis, Tennessee. Wow, the list just goes on and on. Great to have so many people from around the United States and perhaps even around the world joining in from this live broadcast. And my goal during this time is to be able to spend some time interviewing school leaders and also marketing and enrollment experts to be able to discuss what they're doing during this COVID-19 crisis. Because I believe that we can learn a lot from each other along the way, and we can seek to learn from those examples and implement strategies that we can see success with in our schools. And so that's really the whole purpose. You know, I've been doing webinars along the way through my Enrollment Catalyst business and my work with schools. And I did a webinar about a week and a half ago on admissions and marketing strategies for schools in uncertain times. And this is a continuation of that. So grateful for the opportunity that you are joining in with us. I guess I always have to mention a little bit about the weather. You know, I live in St. Petersburg, Florida. We're just like a mile and a half from the beach. Unfortunately, the beaches are closed. So I can't go over there. I can walk up to where they have the signs posted and but I can't go across and go to the beach. But we're, in the low 80s today and beautiful sunny weather. So later on today, I'll go out and take my 5-mile walk and make sure I'm, social distancing myself from everyone that I come in contact with along the way. But grateful for the opportunity to share with you in this live broadcast. Now, we have 3 special guests with us today. And these are 3 of my favorite people, actually. And I thought I would start my first Enrollment Catalyst live broadcast with 3 people that I really like. So, and hopefully, everyone that I bring to this broadcast in the future will be people that I really like. So, but I want to start with 2 members of the team from Linfield Christian School. Linfield is a school in Temecula, California. And I am bringing up on the screen Lisa Taylor. Say hey, Lisa. Lisa's the marketing manager at Linfield Christian. Tell us a little bit about how long you've been at Linfield Christian.
I've been at Linfield for 5 years, and I came in to support the marketing team at a time when they were just really behind on design projects. And over the past couple of years, the Lord has just opened a ton of doors for me to be able to now to oversee marketing and communications here. And I love what I get to do every day.
And Lisa is a star at Linfield Christian with all that she does. And you can check out their website at linfield.com. Beautiful campus, well over 100 acres there.
100.
Yeah, beautiful, right between LA and San Diego. So in the valley, wine country, that part of the state of California. And along with Lisa is Susan Crawford. Hey, Susan.
Hello, everybody. Welcome.
And Susan is the Director of Enrollment Management. Susan's actually someone that I've known for many years. Prior to joining Linfield, she was at Cascade Christian in Puyallup, Washington. And so grateful for her continued work in education. And Susan, how long have you been there at Linfield?
I've been here at Linfield since July. I am a born and raised, like you said, Washingtonian, spent 14 years at Cascade Christian, and then God brought me down here to this beautiful campus and this beautiful place where I get to brag about the sunshine too, but not too much because my Washington friends are still in the rain. But love the team here, love that I have Lisa to work with because I was doing marketing and enrollment in Washington, and now I get to focus on enrollment and yet team up with Lisa on the marketing things and just being able to have a great team here to bring students in and keep them.
Excellent. And how many students are at Linfield Christian?
About 850 right now.
Okay. And you guys grew a lot this past year.
We did.
So yeah, you guys are doing well. And I had an opportunity to spend some time at Linfield Christian about a year ago, working with the team before you arrived, Susan. And that's where I met Lisa and began working with the team in my Enrollment Catalyst program. So thanks both of you for joining us. And we have one more guest, a friend of mine, Rudi Gesch from Eastern Christian. Nice logo wear on your hat.
There we go. Hello, everybody.
So Rudi, you are the Director of Marketing and Enrollment. And how long have you been in Eastern Christian?
Yes, sir. This is my 6th year here at Eastern Christian.
Excellent. And before that, you were at a school in Chicago area, right?
The Timothy Christian Schools in the western suburbs of Chicago, yes.
Excellent. Very good. You may have heard Rudi and I present some webinars in the past. We did one last fall where Rudi presented some content marketing strategies for schools. And so always grateful for the opportunity to be able to connect with Rudi and also with Susan and Lisa. And so glad that we can connect in this format through Facebook Live. And I'm using a program that I'll tell you about at the end that allows me to conduct these interviews, which may be something you're interested in your school. So that's something you can check out, and you can see if you want to implement this strategy. But what I want to do is just guide this group through some key questions. And so I'd like to start with the question of, how is your school, your community responding to the COVID-19 crisis? What are some of the things that you've done, are doing? How are parents and faculty adjusting?
I would say from a communications perspective, one of the things that we've been able to do is to kind of team up with what our public districts are doing around us as well, which some people may not think that there's a need to do that because we're a private school. We can kind of do what we want in a sense, but we want to make sure that we are tracking with the educational experience around us, whether it's private or not. So we've had a great opportunity to team up with the public information officers from both Temecula and Murrieta. Those are the two schools, our districts that we're near. And that way we can provide our parents with up-to-date information, make sure that they know, even as a private school, we are following what the state and local agencies are saying and suggesting and recommending, because we want our parents to feel comfortable and safe. And of course, they get to hear quickly about what's happening in the public sector, because that just goes around so fast. So that's one of the ways we've responded.
Yeah, that's great.
We went to online learning on the 17th. And so it's been amazing to see how everyone at the school has stepped up. Our teachers, our leaders, our communications team, our admissions team. We've done several things. So of course, the key focus, the first focus was on making sure that school was still up and running. And we already had a Monday in-service day ready to roll. And so that worked out really well. And we've been working through that and kind of phasing that in so that now we're in week 3 of distance learning. But also on the admissions end of it, so that Monday, everything was shut down. On that Thursday, we had a testing date scheduled. And so we were able to, through our online testing and Zoom, go ahead and conduct those testing dates still. We did it individually. We rescheduled them so that they were one an hour or one every couple hours, but we were able to continue to do admissions at that point in time as well.
Excellent. Good. What about you, Rudi, at Eastern Christian? How's the community responding?
It's been really incredible. You know, we've also, about the same amount of time as you guys have been doing remote learning. Like anything else in marketing, like the thing itself actually has to work and be good.
Yes.
So that's first and foremost. And thankfully, we had just a really good lead in. We were actually preparing for it, 3 weeks beforehand. So we had our teachers very well prepared, and we were kind of ahead of the curve in our, we're right outside New York City here. So, in our area, it was sort of, we knew it was coming. And so that gave us the time to be able to set up the actual program. And the types of people that are watching this live interview, obviously are in the enrollment and communications and marketing side. So first and foremost, obviously, the thing itself has to work and be good.
Yes.
But then once it does, one of the things I think we've done really well is really have this entire process be a conversation, and to say what we're going to say and say it, and say what we've said, and then to ask questions, to ask for responses from within the community. So we're 2 weeks in now. We've done two weekend surveys and end of week surveys. We give only 12 hours for the families in our school community to complete the surveys, because we really, our administrators are on the education side are meeting on the weekend to discuss changes of how we're going to do this. And then we notify the teachers of changes on Monday, and then they're in place by Tuesday. And so what we've really developed is an even stronger kind of reciprocal brand buy-in, reciprocal communication with our community, where we're responding to their needs. And even though the launch, like I said, the launch was good and the program did work and was strong, it's only continued to get stronger through the feedback from the families. So that's been really great.
I think that's so important to be able to get that feedback, because part of what you're doing is you're demonstrating the value of this online learning, this pivot that you had to make it as a school. And I'm wondering how things are going in other schools in your community, particularly public schools, because this shows the value for continuing to pay and invest in tuition within your schools.
I had a conversation. We had a family that had moved from LA south into Riverside County here, and they had enrolled, and their literal first day of school was our first day of online learning. And so They get into the first week and she calls and she says, my husband wonders why we're homeschooling and paying for it. And so we were able to have this really great conversation about what we really are doing. And she had gone out and so we had this great conversation. This is the value. This is what we're doing. This is why you're really not homeschooling. You're distance learning. And she had a kindergartner and a third grader. So yes, there's a lot of monitoring involved. We know that. But she went and talked to her husband and then ran into some neighbors and found out that they didn't have any, their kids are in the public school, found out they didn't actually have any work that they had to do that was required until the middle of April. And so immediately she and her husband, she's like, my kids aren't getting behind like that. We're on board. And so they've never set foot into a classroom other than their tour. And yet they're on board because we are providing the value that's not happening at least in their neighborhood, in their school. So.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of flexibility that private schools have. Just like this is who we are, and this is what we do always. We're always responsive. We're always needed to be flexible and nimble, and we tend to hire great people. And so, in crises like this, it's really, you don't wish that it exists, of course, but in the moment, it does it affords you the opportunity to really shine. And same thing in our case. I mean, families from school, like very good public school districts, very high property taxes, people expect a lot, but the public school model is just not made to a quick pivot into well, really none of our schools are, very few of our schools are, but not made for that. But I think there's something in kind of the formula of who we are and what we're all about just as a private school industry that has us better prepared and more thinking of things like customer service and being responsive to people. And I know that has really been, before we went live with this, the big fear was kind of the question, that you brought up, why am I paying for homeschool? And then really kind of making sure we're hitting that value statement that this isn't homeschool, it's, remote learning. And the other thing is this, in our school's case, we've said this a lot as administrators here at the school, COVID-19 is not an Eastern Christian problem. I mean, it becomes our responsibility, but this is a nationwide problem. So it's not, the blinders on just our communities dealing with this. Everyone's dealing with this. Yeah. And parents are comparing what's your school doing versus what's my school doing. And we're just getting a lot of love from our parents when they talk to friends, online and at church. So.
Exactly. So I'm interested in just hearing from you all what types of changes you made to your admissions and marketing strategies. And where we're going with this, we want to hear about your virtual open houses. But before we get there, what other things have you shifted to or done differently in your admissions and marketing strategies over the last few weeks, and maybe what's planned ahead?
So something we've been able to do here really quickly, we were actually in the middle of a redesign of our admissions packet, our admissions information. And so when all of this kind of went down, we were collecting bids in order to have those printed so that we could give them to our families. But with that quick change, we turned it into a view book. So now online, our admissions packet is completely digital so that our admissions team can still continue to show families our stories and information about the school. And it's not something that we have to mail or, even have printed. So that's one of the really quick things that we were able to do, I think, within about 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Yeah. And along with our testing that I think we mentioned earlier was that we took our testing immediately online for 6 through 12, and we're working on making sure that the admissions process continues. We went to online interviews and making sure that admissions process continues. Today we're meeting about how to video Zoom assess our TK and kindergarten students, because what we want to do is just keep doing what we do. We've just had to change the venue that we do it in. And so probably going to use Zoom. My biggest fear is that Zoom crashes right now because everybody's on it. But there are other tools as well, but using the tools that we have where we can meet with a family virtually. And that's been the biggest switch into how can we use these things we already have in place and keep doing what we do.
Mm-hmm. I think that's something our head of school has said repeatedly that's really stuck with me, which is, you know, we're still operating. The only thing that's changed is the location. So everything that we normally do, we are now doing virtually. So I'm coming to you from my guest bedroom. But everything we figured out, like you guys, you know, video interviews for families, virtual tours that we're booking with families now, virtual open houses, on-demand open houses, just everything that we otherwise would have been doing with families anyway. Just
yeah. So there's 3 questions that actually came in, 3 different people asking the same question. Sue and Francie and Lauren and actually Tony all kind of want to know about this online assessment and what you're doing, how that's working. So maybe Susan and Rudi, you guys could speak a little bit more about that.
Yeah, we were already, for our 6 through 12 students, we would do a 30-minute timed written response. And then we were using Pearson online, which they would be sitting at a computer here anyway. We were using that for our assessment, the 3 sections. And so now we log into a Zoom meeting and the question is sent via the Zoom chat in the meeting. And they have 30 minutes to finish their assessment and send it back, or their written response and send it back. And then those links to the 3 Pearson sections are sent with their logins. And we're able to monitor that from, you know, remotely. And so that was being done anyway. And so it wasn't that, it was just figuring out how to communicate with them, which we chose to use Zoom meetings for.
In our case, the sort of status quo was actually really helpful in this case. We do not do an on-site test. Our educators prefer multiple years of educational data as opposed to 1 day of testing. So the part of the educational criteria in our admissions process requires the last 2 years of academic records, standardized tests, things like that, and those are always submitted digitally anyway. So in some cases we do, it's less than 5% of our admissions cases we do, you know, it's really like for borderline students or, you know, kids maybe on the borderline of our advanced program or something like that. We'll do testing. We use the MAP test, Measure of Academic Progress, MAP. That's all digital, all online as well. So in our case, status quo was actually pretty easy for us.
But I think the biggest challenge is like what you were saying, Susan, with the younger kids. You know, how to, because typically you would do a, you know, an observation where they'd come in and maybe the teacher would work with them. So did I hear you correctly by what you said is that you're still trying to work through that and figure out how that's going to work?
Our tentative plan is, again, a Zoom meeting where we prepare the parent ahead of time with some things like have a pair of scissors, have a bowl of something you can count. And these are some things I've heard from others in the admissions community as well. So these are not our brand new ideas. These are ideas we've been working on. And then bring in the teacher to observe while our test proctor will ask the parent the questions, and just, you know, the things that they would ask in person, we'll just ask via video.
Yeah, we're doing the same. Well, I would say equally tentatively the plan. You know, we're all learning on the fly, but the plan is exactly that for us as well.
Yep. So I know that both of you, or all 3 of you, actually have made this shift to a virtual open house. I know, Rudi, you did one, at least one that I'm aware of. Maybe you've done more than one. You can share about that. And then Lisa and Susan, you all had your first virtual open house on Friday. And actually, let's start with Lisa and Susan, because I'd love to just hear from the 2 of you since it's very fresh. Just walk us through what you did, how you set it up, and what happened on the virtual open house. Maybe Lisa, you start from
marketing.
Start from the marketing perspective of some of your thinking and how all that transpired over time.
Yeah. So for us, and probably for a lot of schools, we're not a contained campus, so we are on 105 acres, and we had to think about how can we get parents to see, because our campus is so much a part of our value here. So we had to think about how can we get our families to still see our campus as a whole and feel that they got a good sense of what we can offer if they had stepped foot through our gates. So the first thing we thought about was just bringing in our film instructor and Sienna Boyd, who's our amazing admissions assistant who does all of our tours. We got together with our film instructor and Sienna, and they went around and did these amazing films, these videos of our campus. They went high school, middle school, and elementary. And so we have 3 separate virtual tours filmed, and then he put them all together, edited so that we have one large virtual campus tour in case someone wants to see all the way from elementary to high school. So that's the first thing we did is we felt that a lot of schools, we talked about Sienna walking around with her phone and being live with people, which is still a possibility, but having these videos of touring our school and her just showing all the different aspects of classrooms and offerings was just such a great way to get people to engage with us without having to be here. So that's where we started first, putting videos together, and then Susan took it over with how she set it up.
Yeah, because we'd already had a in-person campus preview day scheduled. So we kind of took that format that we used, where we would do an introduction, and then we would normally we would have some sort of our students showcase their work in the arts, which that piece we had to kind of remove because they couldn't do that, obviously. And then we would have our principals speak, and we would take them on tours. So we set up a PowerPoint where we had an introduction, and then we did it on a Zoom webinar, and where we had an introduction, we had we wanted to have a mix of voices. So we had panelists that were there. So we started with a live introduction, then we went to a recorded video of our head of school. Then we went to a panelist who's one of our students who opened us in prayer. And we went from there to a combination of the video tours that Sienna and our film instructor had put together that were amazing. And then each principal followed up their section of the video tour with a little more information and that kind of thing. In there, we'd also done some talk about our core values that was a live type thing. And then we followed all of that up with Q&A. And so it was, it went off. I would say Thursday was all day with troubleshooting and making sure things worked. We did hear that, sometimes videos aren't super clear through the format we were using. But for the most part, we feel like it went off really well, and really liked the mixed voices in the whole thing. So.
Yeah, that's one of the things I really enjoyed about your virtual open house. I was able to watch some of it, and I was able to see there's a lot of different components to it. So you had different speakers or different people sharing, and then you were like the main moderator of the entire open house event. So, so was some of the other speakers, were they also live as part of that open house? Okay. Yes,
we had a student and a parent. Our principals were all live, and then we had our head of school's message was a video, and our spiritual formation director's message was a video, and then our tours were the videos. But the way that Sienna and Ted were able to put those together, they felt kind of live. Like that was the intent, is take us on a tour. And then the editing was way, the videos turned out so much better than expected. So now we can continue that on an individual basis. So, and I think we're going to talk about this later, but we're going to schedule a time where they can go in and do that same format, but one-on-one with Sienna. And so she can still show them the video and do different things, but on a one-on-one basis, or potentially we'll just do another preview day.
Yeah, that'd be great. And you used Zoom's webinar feature. So it's not the free version of Zoom. You had to upgrade to webinar. And just for everybody listening, what's the main difference that Zoom webinar provides for you when you're doing a program like that?
The webinar was more of a us presenting with the chat feature, kind of like this is. Whereas the meeting, we would have seen everybody's faces on the screen, which is kind of what we wanted to do at first because we wanted to see the people we were talking to, but we just decided it was too much for this first round. And so we'll use it for smaller groups.
Yeah. And then one more question for you all before we get to Rudi. How many actually attended the virtual open house live?
We had 31 attendees, and about 20 of them were not our people. So we had 20 people who attended from out that were actually touring. And so that was really fun. Yeah, because we would have probably had about that many families at a live event here. And so, yeah, it worked out really well.
And I know that the people who are tuning into this live broadcast, they want to see it. So is this going to be posted on your website soon?
It will. Yeah. I needed to get through Friday, and now I'm going to regroup.
Okay.
And figure out how we're going to use all of this.
Yeah, Lisa.
And I'm happy to send one of the tours, just a Dropbox link, so you guys can see. I can see some of the questions.
Yep.
And I know that some of you are restricted from being on campus. That's not something that we have here. So I'm sorry I didn't think about those that may not be able to go on campus, how that can look. But for those that can go on campus, the videos are very short. They're about 3 minutes or so. And our strategy behind it was to touch on the questions that admissions gets the most if a family were touring that specific campus live. And so we just asked Sienna to focus on answering those questions and also trying to put in our core values. So our community Christ-centered college prep into there. So if anyone would like the Dropbox link, I can somehow get that to you.
You know what you could do? You could actually post it in this feed.
Oh, perfect.
If you feel comfortable doing that on the Enrollment Catalyst, and then people can see that and be able to access it. And then Susan and Lisa, when you guys get that published live on your website, then I can share it out as well.
So I have YouTube links also.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that'd be great. Perfect.
Yeah. So I'll be doing that for just a second.
Yeah. And so Rudi, you did a virtual open house as well.
We've
You're
done
like one of the early ones that I saw.
Yes.
We've done two, and we've got another one coming up this Thursday. So we've just created this. It works for me. I don't know. I think it works for families too. But Thursdays in March is, Thursdays, March 7 p.m. That's kind of what we've always done. And interesting, you bring up, access to campuses. We were able to sneak in to the elementary. We're a 3-campus school, for those that don't know. And we were able to sneak into our elementary campus and get that one kind of filmed. As they've gone on, we have less and less of what we're able to do. We are now literally not allowed. Again, we're in the epicenter of this whole thing. We have a number of confirmed cases within our community. We're fogging the buildings, all of that stuff. So this doesn't help now if it hasn't been in the case, but it's another feather in the cap of have a marketing plan and a team and visual assets, because what we are able to do that's not quite as, it's not as exciting to me as what we were able to do for the elementary school, since we were able to kind of go in there with this intent. But effectively the high school virtual tour that we're going to be doing this Thursday night is basically visual assets we've acquired, over the last few years, video clips, really quality photos, and really allowing that to kind of tell the visual story. And so we've basically done that in a keynote, and then we just present it also through Zoom. I don't know if you guys have seen the Zoom, the meme going around that Zoom is actually behind the coronavirus because of how many times have we said Zoom in this meeting alone? But so it's same deal. It's a Zoom webinar, and like we've said several times throughout this, we're learning as we're going. So the first one that we did at the elementary campus, we really liked the visuals that we had, so that was great. It was only me talking and responding to prospective family questions in real time, not unlike what we're doing right now. We decided for the middle school campus to invite the principal on as sort of a co-panelist, again, not unlike what we're doing right now. And that really was met with a lot of positive responses. So we're going to do something like that again, no doubt, this Thursday when we do our high school as well. So we've got it takes some time to put this together, but three really well thought out keynote addresses that we just have as, okay, this is in our toolbox. And then just like you guys, it sounds like, the goal is to kind of get through all of these virtual open houses, and then we'll have sort of the resources developed for when people want to schedule personal campus tours. We'll do the exact same thing, and we'll do a keynote, probably through a meeting this time as opposed to a webinar when it's a one-on-one. And I know we're going to talk about this in a little bit, but there's actually some really great ways, really easy and even free or very cheap ways to kind of automate that process, because we're trying to avoid all the back and forth communication of trying to schedule everything. That's especially annoying when we can't physically meet. So so that's kind of the route we've taken. Once we had there's an option when you present the webinar to automatically record. So we automatically recorded that. The cool thing about a recorded live virtual open house experience is we all know this, we all experience this every day. Families are going to ask about the same 20 questions. We all know them. It's just like where in the tour it's going to happen, and when they're going to ask, or maybe it's a slight tweak, but it's kind of the same key set. And of course, in the live interview or in the live virtual open house itself, a lot of those questions came up. I also stacked the deck because I had sort of my own team also viewing as sort of secret shopper kind of thing. And so I had fed them questions ahead of time to ask if the crowd wasn't actually asking me that, because I wanted that on the recorded version. So we didn't want to get through the recorded version without
that's a good idea.
Some of the specific questions, if in case that the live crowd wasn't doing it. So then we have a live version. Then we take that live version, we put it on YouTube, we put it behind it's a hidden link, and then we use Gravity Forms on our website to have it essentially be a digital download or a digital accessed thing where families have to give us their contact information in order to access it. So if you go to easternchristian.org right now, I'm sure we can put it in the notes or whatever, but you go to visit campus, and we have 2 of the 3 open houses, because they've been recorded and published, are available as sort of like this on-demand open house, and those families will see the recorded version. And then we also have options for personal virtual campus tours, and so that'll be something we'll be talking about here in a minute.
Yeah, let's actually before you jump in, Lisa, real quick, Rudi, how many people came to your virtual open house?
We also had around 20.
You did? Okay.
I think real actual prospects. I know we had some schools attending, and then my own team. So I think we had like 22 or so actual humans. I think it was around 8 or 9 or 10 somewhere.
Okay.
Like real actual prospects. And then the other cool thing, I'm sure we've all done this with webinars too. A lot of people register but not attend. And so we had 22 in attendance, but I think we had something like 40 that had signed up. And there were some more actual legit prospects in that pool too. And so again, they were able to get it, and we send it out, and you'll get people apologizing, saying, "Oh, I forgot," and I'm of course, whatever, as long as you look at this and hopefully apply, I don't care. Yeah. But yeah, so that's been good, and we've had a number. Just as we were in the waiting room for this Be Live presentation, we had another download of our middle school on-demand webinar. So
that's great.
And so now the beautiful thing is it's a resource. It's on our website, and it can sit there for however long we need to have it there.
Yeah. So Lisa, you were going to say something.
So I can't actually post a link in the public side. So Rick, I sent it to you.
Oh, okay. So I'll post it later
for everyone, and it's our full tour so that you guys can see. But Kim Ramey Rice, she's right. She mentioned that if you can't be on your campus, to consider doing a tour using still photos.
Yes.
And I think Hannah from Portsmouth Christian recently put out one that was using still photos, a virtual tour of their campus, which was awesome. So that's a great alternative if you can't be on your campus physically.
One quick note that I found for sure that just helpful tip. It's not intuitive. Zoom is relatively intuitive in almost every feature. This is not. The audio. So when you're deciding to like present, there's this like moment of like, all right, drum roll, let's go live. And on the prep screen, there's a little checkbox that asks use computer audio. And that was another thing I'd recommend is like practice webinars with your team. We hosted 5 or 6 where I just was trying stuff, and it takes a little getting used to, like talking to this camera on my computer so that it looks like I'm looking you in the eye, and then also having a separate screen. I recommend having 2 screens if you can swing that. But if you select the using the computer audio, then videos that we showed. So we had video clips of kids singing in chapel and things like that, and the sound was like 100% great in that scenario. If I didn't click that button, it was like coming out of my computer through the speakers and then back in through my computer through the microphone, and the computer tries to like mute that somehow. So it was a garbled thing you couldn't figure out. So that was one of many things we haven't really given any webinars. I think the only webinar experience I have is with Rick prior to this. So so this was a learning curve for us, and that's something I would definitely encourage is like with your team, go through it, like I said, 5 or 6 times to try to see what it's like from their side. We would just have like a Google chat on a separate screen going, and I would just say things like, how does this look? How does this sound? And comment, and there's polls and things like that you can try to play with. So we played with all the features and tried to get the best possible experience. Yeah,
it's like using this program, which is Be Live TV. I've been practicing on this all last week through private Facebook groups, just with a few friends trying it out. So, with any of these technological tools that you're using, it's very important to practice, certainly. So I want to also talk about other strategies that you're using to reach prospective parents. And you both have talked about how you're utilizing Calendly to be able to set up through your website personal conversations, virtual tours. So I'd like to just hear, because you both have done this really recently, and so I'd like to hear what this means, how it's going to work. So I know Lisa and Susan, you all have been using Calendly for a while to set up your on-site campus visits, but now you're shifting to the virtual campus visit. So tell us how that process is working.
It's working great. Lisa, you were there on the setup end. It was already in place when I got here, so.
Yeah, it was really simple. We actually, Rick, you tagged us in a Enrollment Catalyst group chat about it. And so we went out and I asked Sienna, hey, Sienna, can you look into this? Because she manages the Calendly for us. And within less than 5 minutes, she completely connected Zoom with Calendly and was ready to schedule. So it was really simple. Sienna did that for us. She's not here today, to talk about the ins and outs, but Rudi probably can if he was involved in the setup of it. But it literally was less than 5 minutes for us.
Like anything else with this stuff, I kind of know enough to be dangerous. But I was, and I will tell you, so for those that don't know, maybe we should zoom out here. So Calendly is a calendar.
I like how you use the word Zoom again.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So it's a calendar management tool that can have a public face that interacts with your work calendar, whatever kind of calendar you want to set up. So it's a separate service. I think it costs us $8 a month or something like that to run. And then what we're able to do now is we had the timing was hilarious to me because we had literally just decided to go this route right before we had to vacate for all the COVID stuff. And so that was kind of out there. And then I was like, we have people with the ability to book campus tours. What is this actually going to look like? And then Yeah, I think it was through Rick's private group with Enrollment Catalyst that somebody brought up. There's a Zoom. There it is again. But there's a Zoom plugin that is free with Calendly. So you just kind of make an online Zoom meeting the location of where the Calendly tour would take place. It's a real simple, like you said, it's 5 minutes. You know, I actually did it, so if I can do it, I assure you can do it. So it's like step one is to set up Calendly, kind of get familiar with all of that, and then have your own Zoom account. We have our school Zoom account that's set up for the webinars and things like that. I didn't want to intermix the two, so I just signed up for the free Zoom version. And when families book that, you can go to our website right now. Please don't take up their spots, but you can go there right now. You can basically see what's publicly available on my calendar, select an event, and then it'll ask you for all the information that we need for our lead nurturing customer resource database. And then it automatically creates a calendar invite that goes to me and to the family that signs up, and the link to the Zoom meeting that is created when they hit submit. The link is also in that calendar invite. So it's really slick. Like they basically book it, and then there's the calendar invite waiting there to remind them and remind me. I have all the information I need at my fingertips. All I have to do is wait for the alerts, click the button, and we're ready to go.
Yeah, and the really cool thing too on the Zoom end for invitations is you can totally brand them. Yeah. So you have logos and different things so that the person knows it's coming from you, it's what they signed up for. So I would definitely recommend. A lot of the Zoom invitations that Susan and I have received don't have branding, but you can brand. So make sure you put your logo just so that your prospective families know it came from you, and it's what they signed up for.
And on the kind of maybe backing up a little bit more on the Calendly end, because it was brand new to me when I got here, is it allows you to take your Outlook calendar, for example. I don't know if it works with any others, and set aside times where you are available or not available for tours. And that's why families can go online and fill out the Calendly portion of it to schedule their tour, and then it will automatically block that out, so you can't get double booked if you're allowing all of your tours to come in that direction. And
there's also the opportunity to throw a buffer in there as well. So I have a 36-hour buffer on there so that somebody can't, book a 9 a.m. tour with me and I go to bed thinking I have nothing going on the next day and wake up, we got to get prepared. So every sort of conceivable but that I had going into it, like I don't really want to make that those times on my calendar public. What if I do this? What if? And it's a really easy, very intuitive thing that it had answers to every question that I had. So it's been pretty good.
So during these virtual individual visits, are you planning to just have a one-on-one Zoom call and talk to them face to face, like you would do if they came onto campus, and then to show them your virtual tour, whatever format you have it in? Is that your plan? Okay.
Exactly right. And the other, slightly tweaked for them, so I have the ability. It's why I want a little bit of a buffer, because I have the ability to kind of tweak what the keynote is going to, if somebody comes to me and says, I'm interested in second grade, I want the ability to toggle around and only show them the stuff that they're actually interested in. I don't want them to have to see the full thing if they don't want. If they do want to see the whole thing, I'm happy to show it to them. But that's I want them to be able to see my face. I want to be able to see their face.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Very good. I'll be excited to see that. It was just looking on your websites, and I know that, like Rudi, you've got that set up on your website where it's clear, where you can click on it and you can set that up, and so the functionality is there, and hopefully you'll find prospective parents wanting to experience that. I know it's new at this point, so you probably haven't had any takers, or do you have anyone scheduled?
We've got one booked for later this week, but
you do? Okay.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah, that's great.
Again, brave new world. So
yes, it's a great brave new world that we're all in. One other strategy I just wanted to hear from you all before we wrap up today is your social media presence and the storytelling that you're doing. What types of things are you trying to share through Facebook and Instagram now to tell the story of what's happening in this virtual learning environment?
So for us, we're doing a couple of things. We're definitely asking parents to send photos of their kids in their online learning environment right now. We're getting both videos and photos, which is really great. Our teachers are doing a great job sending us things of what they look like in their environment as well as they're teaching, including a couple of videos from our elementary school that's using a platform called Flipgrid that allows parents and students and teachers to have this really awesome connection of learning. Another thing that we're doing that I would highly recommend, we're trying to integrate our seniors as much as possible. This is obviously such a difficult and just devastating time for our seniors. And so every morning we have a senior that gives a verse of the day and an encouraging word and prays over the school. So we're posting that daily, just helping them to know that they're still thought of and loved and a part of things. And then one of the fun things we just started on Friday, we started a post that we're calling Acts of Kindness. What we're finding out is that our parents just want to love on our teachers and our staff during this time. And so we're posting stories of parents that are coming and literally offering to grocery shop for our teachers. We had a parent bring toilet paper. And so, a month ago,
everybody needs it now,
there we go. A month ago, if you had come into my office and said, hey, let's promote, toilet paper as a gift, we probably all would have laughed and had a great time at that joke. But now it means so much. It's just, so we're really making sure that we're connecting our community with not only what we're doing here for learning, that we've not had a gap in learning and kids are actively learning, but also how the community is coming together and supporting one another in really little ways that mean a great deal. So
I think this
I would say, Lisa, really quick, is that you're continuing the alumni features, and so continuing to show the product.
Yes, thank you, Susan. Good point. Yeah, we've not stopped on a lot of the other normal things that we would do. So some business as usual for social media. We're still going to do our graduation spotlights, whether school is back in session or not. We are still running our alumni spotlights and our throwbacks and just different things to have some sense of normalcy. But we've had a lot of fun figuring out some new things, new strategies as well. So.
Yeah, I actually think, like in any scenario, of course, there's also opportunity. And I actually think this is with a capital O opportunity, the type of learning that is going on fits so much hand in glove with social media, and like by definition you have to produce something that is shareable to turn in, and so we're trying to do a lot of that. You have, especially our younger kids, I think we all had and have some anxiety around, all right, especially for the younger kids, what does this remote thing even look like? Are parents even going to put up with this? And we found, like, moms in particular just love sharing videos and pictures of their kids doing stuff, and we add them to our Instagram stories whenever we can. And circling, I guess I would also say, circling back to this sort of feedback loop that's really important. Once we get those surveys back, we pull out our favorite quotes and we share that back with the community. So we have a whole Hootsuite scheduled series of posts. I think it's 1 or 2 a day for the next 10 days, where we just want to really hammer home, hey, remember you said you love this? Because as this goes on, we're trying to just keep it fresh and keep that appreciation in front of them. And then the other big opportunity I think that there is in sort of the weird new normal that we are in, trying to find ways, I think in all of our schools, community is just central to the core values and the mission of the school. And so trying to really be intentional about looking for Community, I think our nation is really hungry. Our world is really hungry for community always, but I think especially right now.
Yeah.
And so, one of the best ones we did recently was our elementary school principal's birthday. So we did one of those. I got a text from somebody that says, "Hey, we're doing a drive-by past our principals. Do you want to participate?" And I was like, if I had gotten this phone call a month ago, I would have reported you to the police. But yeah, we did a drive-by birthday for our principal, and then I had one of the moms that kind of was organizing it record it. And I don't know if you've seen some of them on social media, but it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a group of cars abiding by social distancing and shouting out the window and singing. And, we shared that and, on our social media channels, and that got thousands and thousands of views and shares and great comments. And, there's kind of there's the tangible of the shares that, of course, you want to go to right away, but then there's the intangible of, wow, this community is still really going. And so, I'd encourage all of us to have your community goggles on and try to look for unique ways that your community is still doing its thing, because it is happening. People are sort of naturally doing that, and capture that and share it. And I think, selfishly for the post itself, it tends to get a lot of likes and a lot of loves and stuff like that. But also you're doing your community the service of, rewarding them with some of those positive things. We're also this week we're putting together a video where we're going to have people singing a song from their rooms. So look for that by Friday. But that'll be a fun one.
Is it everyone singing whatever song they want to, or is it singing the
same
same
one? It's we spent the better part of the weekend organizing everything, and so
I've seen some of those online. So I was even thinking about like the Elton John special last night on Fox, that you could do a talent show, or you could do musical performances or whatever, being able to pull in everyone sharing online. So it's a new world, a new day for admissions and marketing. And what's exciting to me is that we're, just as Rudi was commenting on, we're seizing the opportunity. And that's what's important for us as school leaders, is we need to take advantage of the crises that we're going through and pivot in our strategies and showcase our schools in different ways. The message is still the same. In terms of what you offer, the value you provide, the learning style and approach may look differently now. But, what they're doing at Linfield Christian and Eastern Christian are examples of, hopefully, examples that can inspire you in your school as you think about a virtual open house or a virtual visit, or some of the storytelling that you can do online. So I just want to say thanks to everyone for joining in today. There's been a great group that have been a part of this live broadcast, and it's so exciting to see how everyone has come together and to be able to participate. I know there were a lot of questions. I'll try to go back through the comments in the Enrollment Catalyst Facebook page, and if I don't know the answer, I'll try to find that out for you. But feel free to email me directly. I'll post Susan and Lisa and Rudi's email address in the feed as well. So if you want to reach out to them personally, you can. They might start charging you though for the time and the advice along the way. But I really appreciate Lisa and Susan and Rudi joining in, and just want to remind you of my live broadcast on Wednesday. That'll be at 3 p.m. Eastern time, so make sure you join me then. During that broadcast, I'm going to be interviewing 3 team members from North Star Marketing. North Star Marketing is a marketing company located in North Carolina. They're a great company that does a lot of work with schools. They help them with messaging and branding and website design and online marketing strategies. And I know that Rudi has been a big user of North Star Marketing over the last several years. And so that'll be a great opportunity to hear from Andy Lynch and Kayleen Goodell and Laura Eisinga, who'll be participating in that interview format to get their advice and perspective about what you as school leaders should be doing during this time. So any final words you all want to share before we sign off here?
I just think that the words you used, Rick, opportunity, were really important. I last week just looked at Lisa and I said, is it bad that I'm kind of having fun with this because we're getting to be creative and try new things and that we have time to do it? And so while we know it's a hard thing, the opportunity is so important.
I agree. Just use this time to be creative. This is the time that we wait for, just to be creative and learn new things. For marketing and communications teams, be really flexible at this time. Sometimes generally creatives are not super flexible, but we have had to, like Rick said, pivot and change and move. So be flexible, be open to learning from each other, and we just wish you guys the very best.
I would say we can do this. Be confident, and even if you don't know what the confidence is leading to, and just people are looking for calm and normal and confidence and community, and we can do this. And I think our schools are uniquely prepared to do this. So lean on others, lean on the Enrollment Catalyst group. Almost everything that I do professionally has some root in someone else's idea that, you know, we take our own version of. So share and be generous with your sharing so that we can all improve together.
Thank you again, Lisa and Susan and Rudy, and for all of you for joining in. Look forward to seeing you on Wednesday at 3 p.m. Have a great rest of your Monday. Bye-bye.
Bye.